Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about the connection between mindfulness and childlikeness. I'm Dr. Paul Looney. I'm a psychiatrist. I like to help people live fully and love freely. If you're watching on YouTube, if you would subscribe, like, and comment, I'll be happy. I'm happy anyway, but it's a blessing if you do. So, in Matthew chapter 18, when Jesus is asked, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? He does something interesting. He calls a little child and it says, unless you become like a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And if you want to be great, you want to become like this little child. So I really began to think about what that entails. And I'm struck by the fact that the qualities of mindfulness are really impressively seen in children. One of my favorite authors on the concept of mindfulness is a psychiatrist by the name of Dan Siegel, and he identifies 4 qualities of mindfulness that I think really are at the heart of mindfulness and also embodied by children. The first one is curiosity, and you can remember these by thinking of the word coal, C-O-A-L. So curiosity is the C in coal. And children really are very curious. They tend to move toward things that are unfamiliar rather than away from them. They tend to be very curious about how things work. They want to learn how to do new things. They're excited to try something, to learn how to play a game, to make a friend. Curiosity is a great asset in childhood, and it's a great asset in the kingdom of heaven. We should always be curious about what God is up to, curious about what this unfolding moment is going to bring to bear. And particularly when things go badly, we want to be curious about what God is up to, curious about where the good is in our current circumstance, especially if it's bad. The O is for openness, and for children and for us as adults practicing mindfulness, openness has to do with being really aware of our bodies, our sensations, our feelings, our thoughts, our impulses, and to be connected to them in a deep way. It's also open to the surrounding, to nature, to the things that we encounter, open to the people that we are engaged with, open to their body language, their facial expression, their tone of voice, and the content of their communication. Being open to that allows us to be fully engaged with the world around us. The A of Cole stands for acceptance. And this is one that I find especially exciting because it's a way of being that we do not tend toward judgment. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were very childlike, and I think very mindful too. They were very accepting of God, of each other and their surroundings. And when God put them in the garden, He made it a place of peace, a place where there's no shame. But there was one thing that He warned them seriously to avoid, and that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it turns out that this idea of acceptance is the exact opposite, I think, of what that tree did for Adam and Eve. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, I believe, could also be called the tree of judgment or the tree of right and wrong. And rather than allowing them to accept who they were and how they were, accept one another, and accept what God had given them, they began to think in terms of good and bad, right and wrong, better and worse. And that turned out to be a terrible thing for them. God said to them, the day you eat of that tree, you will surely die. And something dies in us when we move away from acceptance into judgment. And so acceptance is something that children embody and that we can learn through mindfulness. The L of Cole is love. Mindfulness really helps us to reconnect with loving kindness, compassion toward ourselves, toward others in the world, and toward every living thing, that we have a sense of loving kindness, a sense of warmth and softness toward God, toward ourselves, and toward others. This sense of love is vital if we're going to live in the world in a way that is easy and rewarding. Um, so I just submit this to you as a way of thinking about that connection between childlikeness and mindfulness. Obviously, children are very playful, they're very creative, and of course, humility is such a gift of childhood that we can all cultivate. And part of that is through understanding how to be present to ourselves in a way that is not judging ourselves as better than or less than, but simply in that place of acceptance, that place of freedom, curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love. That again, that we can cultivate as we learn mindfulness. I will be posting some other videos with some specific strategies for developing childlike attitudes and behaviors, and how to cultivate mindfulness so that we can be fully engaged and fully present with our lives. Hope you find this helpful. Again, if you'll like and comment, I appreciate it. I love you.